So I was thinking, okay, if anybody's learned anything through anything that I've shared with everybody else, I'm hoping that this resonates, because we're going in a different direction, right? So I was thinking of something, because I'm always just with her, right? Communicating with her all the time, because I have a relationship with her. And one of the reasons that we know that is because Gaia's DNA, the girl on the planet, the living spirit, right? We're in a living biosphere, right? She's living light, which is living spirit, which is living energies, which is living DNA. So the girl who's in the planet, she created this, right? So that means that the DNA assembly she put together on the female side is her DNA. Okay, so I'm experiencing the girl on the planet, huh? That's right. I experience the living energies of Gaia that is in my DNA. Okay? That's why I've always said I live through the heart of a goddess. Okay? The love that I share with everybody on this planet, actually everything in the entire cosmos, is no different. When you think of the eye of the storm, right? The eye of the hurricane. Remember when President Trump said we're in the storm? Chaos. Fear. Okay, all those things that we hold on to that don't serve us. And why do they not serve us? Because we're not living in a present moment. When I'm in nature, when I'm with her, I'm always in the now. Okay? I don't even have to think about what's going to happen next, because whatever it is going to be what love is. Okay? That's why they couldn't understand. You mean to tell me you wake up every single morning in a state of love and joy? Yeah! That's what living energy is. Right? Right. Okay? So you know who's dead, and why they do the things that they do, and why they're dark. Dead light. Dead spirit. They're not going, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're not living in a now time present moment. Okay? So when you're living in a present moment, and you know that all you got is right now, okay, you're not running on anything, on any unconscious memory programming. Because that's what it is. It's a program. It's no different than putting your state of consciousness into a program that somebody wrote for us to say, okay, you wrote that, I didn't, you did, so I'm going to run your program. Okay, I can run your program. So what do we do? Remember in the early videos I did about value tagging, vectoring, space, time, space, right? The spirit, right? Dark matter, okay? The hourglass, the minus and the plus and the RH factor, the mammal, if you will, okay? The love that a mammal lives through its heart, the neocortical, the higher functions between both hemispheres, logic, intelligence, the power index, the creative imagination, the powerful emotion energy, the emotional energies, energy in motion. Wow, that's powerful energy. That's a powerful battery. That's powerful light. So you have the collapse of the wave function. The function. When you're living in a present moment, like when I was a child, for example, and I mentioned this in a previous video, okay, about how my mother would spend a lot of money, which represents a lot of electrons, okay, to acquire what is in material form. That's matter. Mind and matter. Okay? So the spirit, based on your level of learning and the consciousness through which is normal for you to occupy, or things that you've learned throughout the coursework of your soul's journey, why was a 7-year-old child giving away all of its material matter stuff? Losing density, which is the mass of the particle. The collapse of the wave function ends up with a particle. That's our intention. So when you're in a present moment, you are vibrating at a faster speed when you're experiencing love energy through the heart in a state of joy. That's 600 million hertz per second. You're in a timeless state. Wow, what do you want to do next? Oh my God, you've got so much energy. What do you want to imagine we can go do? So you don't even have to think about what it is that you're doing that you're held captive by, because your consciousness is not held captive by anything. You're experiencing what it is you're imagining and creating at the time in which you do it. Because the speed differential between past and present is enormous. I was just walking through the parking lot, and I was aware of everybody else that was there. And I'm aware of what they're held captive to and what I'm not held captive to. I'm actually experiencing the fact that they're driven by time card programming, trying to chase a time clock that they can't outrun. Because they're living in the past, which is the unconscious memory that's driving them insane. And the reason it's driving them insane is because they're held captive by their own unconscious memory of things that have already happened. Okay? That's going in reverse. That's what it means to go in reverse. So instead of losing mass density, they're increasing their mass density. So how are they going to escape the matter, which is the collapse of the wave function, if they're not going faster than that? Right? So I was listening to a guy that used to be, I guess, a Navy SEAL. He was a chief in the Navy SEALs, and he talked about intuition, using your intuition, and he mentioned like martial arts, for example, right? So here I'm thinking about martial arts, right? How you take advantage. It's like playing chess with another unit of consciousness. So you realize if you have an aggressor that's coming at you, then that is energy that is seeking to do what? Drain yours. Why is that? Because if it injures you, you're going to experience something less than what love is, okay? Which is a lower speed vibration. When you're in a state of peace, in the calm of a storm, which is known as the camera eye, your level of perception on the visible light spectrum in a state of peace means you're vibrating at a higher rate of speed than the other state of consciousness that is seeking to reduce your energy. Remember, what I do to you, I do to me. Which can be translated much in the same way this COVID bullshit is. Okay? I knew as soon as that came out, I thought to myself, well, listen, number one, I don't live in any fear because I am what love is in living spirit, living energy. So I don't choose to attract something that I'm in fear of in order for me to experience what that is. Okay? So I don't. I don't experience it. I choose not to. That's the power of love in your heart. That's the power of your living energy and your consciousness. What it is you're choosing to experience. That's why they've never isolated and purified a virus. It's just a word. Okay? So if my state of consciousness is choosing to experience something, what happens? I manifested it. I manifested it with my state of consciousness. See how that works? That's the whole idea of the mask order. Puts you in a state of fear in order to manifest that which you get. Thus, you experience what you're choosing to experience because you live in fear of it, so you'll attract it. Thus, your state of consciousness is choosing to experience what they say is a virus. Okay? So they obviously don't want people to understand how this works. That's one of the reasons why President Trump said an invisible war. Okay? So when you look at the minus and the plus side of the speed, one is going in reverse, one is going forward. Because of the speed, which is the collapse of the wave function. What is the density through which you want to experience what you are? It depends on how fast you're going. When you're in a state of love and joy, you're always in a state of present moment. It's like, what do you want to do next? Well, what is it that lights your fire? You don't lack any imagination because love is the freedom that unlocks the prison doors of being held captive to something that is lower in speed and density consciousness. That's what makes such a difficult challenge when I come out of nature, which is a timeless state being with her, and then I come into a city, which is what? Population density. Which means now we're experiencing more density based on the mass that everybody's holding in that density to experience lower density consciousness of an unconscious memory program. So I thought I'd share this because it's just, you experience it everywhere that you go. But what's beautiful is to see so many beings, light workers if you will, Star Trek navigators as I call them, that will tell you living through your heart is your power plant. I've said that till I'm blue in the face. Blue colors, cool colors, right? Cool the processor down, cool the speed of the particle down, the spin, the dimension, the hyperdimensions, right? Moving through hyperspace, a tesseract, a hypercube, hyperdimensional experiences, moving through the higher dimensions, moving through Goddess GAIA, which is the heavenly realms. That's what Goddess GAIA means, heavenly realms. That's aloha, which is the essence of the breath of life. Your electrons, delivered through the salt, correct? That's right, that's why we're saltwater beings. So, this is sort of a review, sort of just a short composite way in which I experience who I am. I experience love and joy. That's the energy that I love to experience, so that's why I experience it. It's because you know how to monitor the tack. Remember? The tack. Adjusting your speed. So that's why it used to be, why I said, I don't know how many times, what they did was they wanted to move the herd. You know, gather all the different beings that are out there on the terra, the terraria, right? The terrarium, like you're in a terrarium, a big zoo on planet Earth. They wanted to herd everybody into cities so they'd go to work in their factories and live in little boxes. Because now those little cubicles and everything else is holding their consciousness captive to a memory program, which is lower density. That's why the tribes and the clans live in the trees. Because we have a relationship with the girl on the planet. A spiritual relationship with the girl on the planet. My living spirit, her living spirit. My living spirit, which is living energies that is in a biosphere. Just like her living energies are in her biosphere. So my DNA, which is part of her DNA, is connected as I feel the goddess that is in her through my heart that is in mine. So I have a spiritual communication relationship with the girl who gave me the avatar to experience this realm. So I naturally do it with higher energies, which is a timeless state. When you're in a timeless state, choices become easy because the energy that you're experiencing is running so fast, your bulb is lit, you're off and running. What do you want to choose to experience? Nothing's holding you captive. You're in a present moment. That's what I meant before about the past is gone. You can't do nothing about that, even though we can travel back in time. But that means you're not using your energy to experience what love is in a present moment. So when you're always vibrating naturally as a core frequency identity vibration in what love and joy is, wherever you go, it means you've managed to learn how to master that through your heart and your mind and your spirit in the biosphere that you occupy to produce a very powerful magnetic shield that is no different than the biosphere of the magnetic shield of the living spirit that is Gaia in this realm. See? So anyway, I'll leave that for the day unless something else comes up that's remarkable. But I do love, it's not like Joe Dispenza and the stuff that he does. It's beautiful because he uses artwork to draw, for instance, the flower of the heart and then the flower, and the butterfly, okay? The pollinator, the birds and the bees, right? That's why we used to kid around as children that, when are our parents going to teach us about the birds and the bees like we already know because we live in nature, okay? They really did dumb everybody down. Okay, and that was on purpose, which simply means that the state of awareness of how much data, how much information is in the field for which you can experience is limited. That's called limited data, which is limited information that you're accessing because the speed at which you're experiencing who you are is a lower vibration. And as a result of that, it's like moving energy that is in motion at a very slow speed. So we're not able to access a lot of information that is relevant to us, that we thus tag as value, and what has the greatest value? That which sets us free. What sets us free to be who we are and create and imagine what it is we choose to experience, because we're the master of our own universe. Love. That's the genius of the cosmic order, is learning how to set yourself free to experience whatever you want to experience. So anyway, have a great day. I love you all. This is like I said to her the other day, thank you, Mama, for everything. It's like returning home. You know, home is always where the heart is. That's where love is. You know, and when you're vibrating like a you-know-what, you're a battery recharging system all within your own unit. Right? Right. You're not ever going to run out of energy when you are where love is. You know? That's why we call that timeline zero. You know? 0 point in the vacuum. Remember, they tried to see if they could freeze it as cold as they possibly could. Like absolute zero. 0 point gravity. Oh my God. Is there anything still moving? Yeah. The universe still wants to experience itself. You can't take that away from the cosmos. You cannot create or destroy energy, right? Okay, so I know that I'm energy. So mind over matter. Well, what is the density of your matter? That depends on the spin of your particle. How fast are you going? And that's based on learning. That's why the heart is a vortex. And you have the eye of the storm. That's a state of peace. Hey, I'm in a state of peace. Welcome to the singularity of being in a state of peace. Now you're not having to do any work. The universe is taking care of itself naturally. See, it's quite simple actually, but it's a challenge. It's when you have reached that point, it's easy to talk about and explain it and translate it through everyday experiences. An example of that would probably be why, when you're wanting to hone your skills, and when I think about the guy that was a Navy SEAL, how he talked about when you're outside time because you're vibrating so fast, you already know the move of what the guy's going to do in the future, so you simply move your head. Like, you use all your energy up. Go ahead, use all your energy up. I don't need to use very much of my energy to prevent myself from you hitting me, okay? Because I'm in a state of peace. So that's maintaining a state of peace in the storm. That's the eye of the storm. Okay? The eye of the storm, that's the inception. That's source. You're in a state of peace. And that allows you, when you practice being in a state of peace, which is one of the reasons why I chose to go into wildland firefighting. Particularly wildland firefighting versus structure firefighting. Because structure firefighting, everything's sort of in a box. That's a given quantity of data, if you want to think of it that way. But it's very short-lived, short-term, and pretty much everything is predictable. Okay? Spirit and fire is not predictable. Okay? Even though you can take a look at all the terrain, which is known as the fuel, the topography, which is going to influence the rate of spread, right? You got the spirit of the wind, you got the spirit in the fire, and then, of course, you have the spirit in the soil, Mother Earth, okay? And the fuel itself, which is living energy. Trees are living. Okay? Remember I talked about earlier about communicating with all the spirits? Right? You communicate in nature, right? Communicate because I got a big spirit of fire in me, right? Burn that furnace hot for that light so you can communicate with your spirit of fire to the spirit that's in that fire. Okay. Power of consciousness. Choosing to experience what you're choosing to experience. How much energy can you garner, right? The collapse of your wave function to alter what that fire is doing. So those become challenging. We had an old saying that was known as a how do we put it? It was called a standard firefighting order. Be alert, keep calm, think clearly, act decisively. When you're in a state of fear, you can't do that. That's why I never feared fire, because I got a spirit of fire in me. But I respect it, because I know what it can do. It can be very destructive. It also can be very life-giving. Okay? You measure that in nature. Notice that one like that. It's sort of natural to do that. That's called a circle of light, a biosphere, like a sun, the biosphere in planet Earth. You just naturally know these things. So that's what becomes challenging, is facing chaotic situations, being in a state of peace to make a calm decision. Being alert. That's a higher state of awareness. When you're in a state of peace and you can walk into a chaotic situation when everybody's falling apart, you're mastering the state of peace. Singularity. Anyway, have a great day. I love you all. Be good to yourselves.